Chair, noun. A separate seat for one person, typically with a back and 4 legs.
This is not a chair. Well, it's not only a chair.
If it's not a chair, what is it? This is not a chair. This is a tree. It's a tree because it's a product of its environment. This chair is made from a tree. It's made of oak, solid oak. In addition, the chair's form invokes a tree. The trunk, the branches, all of these acorns, and this carving, which looks like wood grain. This chair is from Connecticut in the 1680s, a time when Americans relied heavily upon trees. Trees formed an important part of the New England economy. They were a resource that was more readily available in New England than in Europe, which was largely deforested. Not only did the New England economy rely upon trees, but people relied upon them in everyday life, for houses, for fire to keep warm, for furniture. This chair symbolizes the reliance on natural resources.
This is not a chair, it's a commodity. A chair like this was not only beautiful, but it also required a vast network of commercial relationships to create it. It required craftsmen to produce it, many different sources for the materials that made it. A particular piece of importance is the mahogany. The mahogany was harvested in Brazil by slaves, transported across the Atlantic to where it was produced, and it was also very expensive. A purchaser of this chair would have not only been trying to purchase something that was beautiful to adorn their house, but also something that retained value, that could be traded and sold when financial times were less than ideal.
This is not a chair. This is a sculpture. As you can see, we can admire the aesthetic elements of the curves, the lines of the chair, the legs, the arch of the seat, the curve of the back, all express this serpentine curve. The artist clearly thought about both the structure of the chair as well as the curves that appear in the negative spaces.
So of course we have the 2 shells here at the top and the bottom. The bottom one is inverted. We also have this, of course, ornamentation around the serpentine curl at the top. Also along the bottom legs, there's pretty intricate carving. And then there's also extends to the upholstery of the chair.
So we're looking at this chair as a sculpture, because although in the mid-18th century people used to sit in it, now its sole function is to sit inside a museum.
But you can no longer sit on it, so now we primarily appreciate it for its aesthetic value.
This is not a chair. It is a symbol of power. We can look at this chair from the standpoint of anthropology. This chair is a symbol of patriarchal authority. On the American frontier in the 17th and 18th centuries, chairs were scarce. Most people sat on boxes or barrels or benches. The only chair in the house belonged to the head of the household, the patriarch. The chair's form shows the patriarch's dominion over the domestic sphere. Its massive size and regal arms both symbolize the patriarch's authority.
This is not a chair. This is a document. In this case, it's a document of slavery. In the early 19th century, Thomas Jefferson commissioned this Campeche chair to be made by one of his slaves for him. This chair was built by John Hemmings, Sally Hemings' brother, and one of Thomas Jefferson's master furniture makers at Monticello. Jefferson commissioned this chair to be made in order to relieve his rheumatoid arthritis. Hemings' labor was literally used for Jefferson's own comfort, and this chair serves as a document of that relationship.
This is not a chair. This is a treatment. Colloquially, chairs such as these were often known as easy chairs. They were meant to ease the aches and pains of the ailing and the elderly. The way this chair is constructed, the angle of the back, the angles down to the elbows, and the support around the base help support the knees, the arms and the shoulders, and help ease pain. It was made in the mid-20th century, and although this chair is a modern chair, it has a much deeper history in the concept of alleviating pain through the way that furniture can help daily life. As we saw in the Thomas Jefferson's chair, the Campeche chair, it was originally made to help ease his arthritis pain. This is a long-standing theme in the history of medicine that you don't always get from looking at hospitals or physicians or stethoscopes, but through furniture, you can see the way that health was very important in the daily lives of people, whether in the 19th century or in the 20th century. This is not a chair. Well, it's not only a chair.
As you can see, it can be a tree, a symbol of power, a commodity, a document, a treatment, a sculpture, and much, much more.
It's an opportunity to look closely and to question categorization.
It's much more than just a chair.